That was my neighbor, James, with his wife, married 3 weeks after, and this is happening. And of course, they dated for 13 years. Why would people behave that way? Now, that's not about relationships alone. Even in the workplaces, you find out that sometimes even the very smart people are stuck. They're stuck in their management style, their alignment with people, in their meetings, in their relationships. Why is that? When things like that happen, it's not about talent. It's not that people are not putting in the effort. No, that's not the case. It's an invisible force. I call it the friction tax that we're paying. And you pay that tax without knowing because it's not visible. It's easy to spot skills gap, but it's hard to spot behavioral gaps. But that's what happens. And many times, what we tend to do when we go to work or we're dealing with our partners is that we climb new mountains using old maps. Let me explain. Picture this. You have a manager and a team lead, and the task is climb the mountain together. Not one person getting up there and the other person is still waiting down there. And then the manager in his mind goes, whoa, that's the mountain. He sees the summit. Let's go. But the team lead feels, this path is risky. Someone might get hurt. Maybe we should rethink. At that moment, the manager wants to go. He's there already. The team lead sees a different way, sees something different. The path is rocky. There is friction. There is dissonance. As long as you have that disagreement, that moment, you're losing time, you're losing energy, you're losing money, even as a business. In a relationship, you're losing something. Listen, the truth is the territory is the same. They have to climb the mountain, but they have different maps. The manager is up there. The team lead says, no, I don't think we want to climb now. Many times conflicts, it's not about necessarily that somebody hates you. No, it's simply because there's a misalignment of maps. We all do have our maps in our heads, even if we operate in the same territory. We must understand that. Now, I used to work in 2014, I used to work with an organization where I used to lead a team, and we hired a Harvard graduate. Brilliant. Phone calls, voicing, confidence, superb. 6 months down the line, he left the business. And then we had to do a research, and we figured that he was misaligned with his team. He was not aligned. And so he was dishing out instructions. He was telling people to do things, but he was speaking a language they didn't understand. Of course, it was English language. But behaviorally, he was saying something else. They were hearing something else. So they weren't aligned. He became frustrated and he left. This happens everywhere, but we just don't see that. Let me bring this back home. Take, for instance, you run a business. And just imagine the behavior of the people in your business as a thermostat. Now, the thermostat, if it's set at 60, the room will never get hotter than 60. It won't be, you can't take it to 100 and leave it there. No matter how you crank the heat in the room, it will be there. So if the people in your business, their mindset, their behavioral level, their comfort level it's £1 million, and you want to take your business to 10 million pounds, that's not happening because they will sabotage you inadvertently. That's when you begin to have useless meetings. Let's talk about this. What are you exactly talking about? It's simply because you're taking them out of their comfort zone. And their thermostat is at 60 degrees, as it were, but you want to push it to 100 degrees. It's not happening. Now, again, that's where we're saying there's behavioral dissonance. But it's hard to see. And that's why sometimes you get into an argument and you step back and say, wait a minute, why are we even arguing? What are we even talking about? You find out nothing. Simple. Let me give you the secret. You just have different maps, even if you're in the same territory. So what should we go back home to do today? Aim to become the frictionless leader. When you find yourself in any situation, ask yourself, How can I lead? How can I reduce friction? And how do you do that? First of all, acknowledge the fact that you're stepping into the situation with your own map. The other person has his or her own map. Your job is to align both maps together and then work together, because at the end of the day, you are in the same territory. Don't deceive yourself. We just don't need to deceive ourselves. We're not in different territories. We're in the same territory, but we just have different maps. But how do you align maps? A few things you can do. First of all, pause. Secondly, try to understand the other person. The other person's interest should come first, whether it's at work, your personal relationship with your spouse, your partner, your children. Just understand. I just want to understand where you are. Most times people do not fight you. They protect themselves because they are afraid. They themselves are not sure what they are afraid of. That's where the behavioral dissonance comes in. Once you understand what they want, try to do the best you can to align your map to theirs, and you will become that frictionless leader that everyone wants to work with.